Hey, it's Stu here again, and this is the last of a short series I've done that's pretty much about speed reading people, with information derived from Pearman and Albrittons' I'm not crazy, I'm just not you. Much like the last video on external motivators, this video is my own adaption of the information in the book. It's not parallel to what's in the book, it's actually quite different. I won't go on a ramble about the reasons why, outside of I'm not pandering to the forced function stacks the MBTI applies after the fact. With that out of the way, let's just jump right into it. In the book, these are actually referred to as inattentions. I've reimagined them as inner motivators, and I think it makes more sense and it's more aligned with my observations. It fits better with getting a quick speed typing of people too. So the inner motivators are the following combinations. IN for the introverted intuitives, the book has them as NJs. IS for the introverted sensors, the book has them as SJs. IT for the introverted thinkers, the book has these as TPs. And IF for the introverted feelers, which the book has as your FPs. I didn't clarify last video, but I will here. This is basically a quick way to spot the functions in attitudes, but it's not the functions in attitudes themselves. This isn't any in-depth understanding, it's just a surface level kind of what they usually look like sort of deal. And it should be treated as such. Speed typing people in general just won't have the depth and it won't have the accuracy that a more extensive typing will, but it's still fun and it's arguably more practical. IN, introverted intuitives. These types of people are visionaries. They strive towards their own inner visions. They're determined and persistent when it comes to these inner visions because to them, these are more real than the tangible reality. So that's what their inner motivation is, their own visions, and they can be dogged about them to the point they act as though they're a real, tangible fact when they might not be. If you deny IN types from their IN, they get hard-headed, they get very fussy, and they can become difficult to deal with as the outer world of external sensory facts is the complete opposite place of where they want to be. If someone's having a hard time dealing with physical, tangible, actual reality, you're probably looking at an IN. IS, the introverted sensors. Real quick, introverted sensing within the context of the MBTI is nothing like introverted sensation from a Jungian perspective, and this video is in relation to the MBTI. So IS types are generally quite realistic. They tend to seek some sort of order within their environment. They don't like vagueness, they vastly prefer clarity. They're usually pretty conforming, and they can be extremely attentive to facts and details and the accuracy of those facts and details. If you deny the IS types of their IS, they become intolerant, they become uncharacteristically opportunistic, and they tend not to be able to recognize the actual source of their concerns or worries. They might not really have a solid understanding of why they're behaving the way that they are when they're denied their IS. Onto the ITs, introverted thinkers. These types of people are analytical, they're skeptical, they're generally quite tolerant of others, or at least they like to appear to be. They're the curious types. They like the underlying foundations of whatever systems or models they're into, and they will be into something along these lines to make sense to them. They're seen as being pretty clever. This doesn't mean they are clever, but it's this combination of introversion and thinking that has them appearing to come across as being quite clever at least. If you deny the ITs of their IT, they get hasty. They make premature and not thought out decisions just to get things out of the way, and they become evasive and also a bit self-indulgent. For the IFs, the introverted feelers, these types of people are usually pretty adaptable when it comes to others. They don't go out of their way to rock the boat or cause a commotion. They're usually pretty responsive and soft-hearted. And more than the others, they seem to enjoy humor and making light of situations. They also have a relatively uncontrolled expression. I want to note here that like introverted sensing, the MBTI has a drastically different understanding of introverted feeling than Jung. From a Jungian perspective, introverted feeling types are characteristically unexpressive. But within the context of the MBTI, this is what you're looking for when you're trying to get a quick read on people. If you deny the IFs their IF, they get impulsive as they aren't caring about whether they actually like what they're doing a whole lot. They get distractible, and like the IT types, they get hasty. When the IT and IF types can't do their IT and IF thing, what you get is a really subpar version of the EF and ET types. EF and ET types are adept at thinking and feeling out situations in real time. So they might make quick decisions, but they're not necessarily hasty. They've definitely got thought and consideration behind them. The IF and IT types don't have that. They don't have that natural orientation to making quick decisions in real time. So when you catch someone making uncharacteristically ill thought out and hasty decisions, maybe you're looking at an IF or an IT type. Obviously there's some overlap here like there was in the last video. I've covered IN, IS, IT and IF types here. Well, In the MBTI, you can be an INF type or you can be an IST type, etc., etc. So there's an overlap. So you're going to see this kind of overlap when speed reading people. My advice is to be on the lookout for what seems to manifest the most and also what seems to be the bigger issue when a person is denied their ISIT or IF preferences. If you want to really focus on getting this part right, I'd say it's arguably a better idea to just get a rough idea and work with the outer image. So that's your EP, EJ, IP, and IJ temperaments, and the cognitive cores. That's the SF, ST, NF, and NT videos to flesh it out and add a little conclusiveness to your speed typing. I'd start with the outer image and the cognitive core, and then just kind of try to narrow it down a bit with these motivators, the external or the internal motivators. So that's actually the end of this little mini-series. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've taken something that's practical that you can, take into the real world and actually use. That's it from me. Cheerio out.